Hockey talk has driven me to the brink of madness, and it's time we all hit the pause button. As a diehard fan who's immersed myself in the sport for years, I've reached a point where the constant chatter has drained every bit of pure enjoyment from my soul, leaving behind nothing but frustration and eye rolls. It's like the endless barrage of cliches and jargon has turned what should be thrilling discussions into a tedious echo chamber. But here's where it gets controversial. Is it possible that our shared obsession with these overused phrases is actually harming the community's vibe? Today, we are diving deep into the most irritating ways folks describe hockey, unpacking why they grate so much, and exploring how we can refresh our conversations, because if we don't, I might just step away from the rink altogether. Clinching a berth. Nothing irks me more than hearing clinch a berth tossed around like it's the pinnacle of sports eloquence. To me, a berth is that cozy spot at a marina where you secure your boat after a long day on the water, think ropes, cleats, and salty sea air. Pairing it with clinch conjures up awkward images of a hesitant midwife fumbling through a delivery room crisis, which hits way too close to home after my own brushes with life's unexpected dramas. It's the last thing I want linked to the excitement of playoff spots. For newcomers to hockey lingo, this phrase essentially means securing a guaranteed entry into the postseason tournament, but why not just say that plainly instead of wrapping it in nautical nonsense that confuses everyone? And this is the part most people miss. Simplifying our terms could make the game more accessible to casual fans, drawing in fresh faces who might otherwise tune out the jargon. Magic and tragic numbers. The whole magic number and tragic number concept leaves me scratching my head, even after 3 decades of watching games and a decade and a half of reporting on them. Sure, I can rattle off a basic explanation for someone outside the loop, like my mom, saying it's the number of points a team needs to lock in a playoff position or the losses they can afford before elimination, but grasping how it shifts game by game feels like wrestling with advanced calculus, something I've always steered clear of since high school geometry was my limit. Imagine trying to apply this to a real matchup. It's abstract enough in theory, but in practice, it's as baffling as decoding a complex equation without a calculator. I've been bluffing my way through sophisticated analytics since the early 2010s, relying on spreadsheets to do the heavy lifting, yet these numbers still feel elusive. Boldly put, isn't it time we ditch this vagueness for straightforward updates on wins needed, sparking a debate on whether overcomplicating standings truly enhances fan engagement or just alienates beginners? Games in hand. Games in hand is another puzzle that doesn't quite add up for me. These matches are still on the calendar, not clutched in anyone's palm like a winning poker card. They're simply the remaining fixtures ahead, happening down the line when no one's literally holding them. Come playoff season, I'll need to mentally adjust to grasp why, say, the Nashville Predators might trail the Calgary Flames by a couple of these unplayed games in the standings race, though honestly, that specific scenario might not keep me up at night. For those new to following schedules, it refers to how many extra opportunities a team has to earn points compared to rivals who've already played more, which can dramatically swing tiebreakers. But here's a counterpoint that could stir some controversy. Does emphasizing these future games overlook the unpredictability of injuries or slumps, making fans overconfident in projections? What do you think? Should we rephrase it to remaining games for clarity, or is the tradition worth preserving? Craving consistency. Struggling teams love to claim they just need some consistency after a fluke victory, like nailing an improbable 20% shooting rate on the road against a fresh Nashville Predators squad. They'll hype it as building on this win to find our rhythm, but let's be real, for a mediocre group, uniformity is the enemy, not the ally. You want them to serve those wild luck swings, reminiscent of over-the-top training montages where chaos breeds spectacle, think optional defense, acrobatic saves from the netminder, and unleashing a speedy teenage rebel with a chip on his shoulder right onto the first line for fireworks. Consistency might sound noble, but it's worlds apart from excellence. Aim for the latter to climb the ranks, not settle into predictable mediocrity. And this is where opinions diverge. While some argue consistency builds character, others see it as code for accepting defeat. Do you agree that embracing inconsistency keeps bad teams fun and unpredictable, or is steady play the real path to improvement? Calling out classlessness. Labeling something classless gets slung at any action that rubs you the wrong way, whether it's shady or nice antics or simply reveling too exuberantly in a goal, especially if your side's already ahead. Sure, it's fair game to call out outright dirty plays like a cheap shot, as that promotes a cleaner game for all. But cheering loudly, that should be celebrated, injecting joy into what's meant to be an exhilarating spectacle. Suppressing that energy stifles the fun. Picture this game we could play. Every run must drop classless, starting with Andrei Svetnikov snatching his stick from an innocent fan, a move some decried as rude back in 2020. On a lighter note, as someone with unconventional views on society, I actually root for a classless world, not in the pejorative sense, but through building awareness of social divides, rallying the right leaders, and evolving toward equality, though that's a whole other revolution. Phrases like stay classy feel sticky and outdated, much like a poorly aged script line. Subtly controversial, is classless just a tool for gatekeeping enjoyment, or does it genuinely uphold sportsmanship? Share your take below. Does it belong in modern discourse, or should we retire it? That playoff vibe illusion. When someone says a game feels like a playoff matchup, they're often stretching the truth. It's not sweltering summer heat with allergy-inducing pollen clouds, endless daylight till evening, or that pre-game gut churn of anxiety. You're merely tuned into a tense, low-scoring affair packed with physical checks, nothing more. Playoff intensity gets romanticized beyond reality. As someone who chronicled the gritty 2024 Rangers-Capitals clash that ended in a sweep, I can attest it's not always epic poetry. If a contest shines, praise it for its own qualities, without dragging in post-season comparisons that diminish the regular season's already bloated schedule, ideally trimmed by a dozen games, but owners prioritize ticket sales above all. So next time you hear that phrase, mentally add the unspoken truth, it's a nod to the drab, overlooked regular season grind. But here's the hook. Could this comparison actually undervalue the 82-game marathon that builds stars and stories? What if we celebrated every intense night equally? Would that change how we view the playoffs? The redundant goal scorer's goal. Enough with the goal scorer's goal nonsense. It comes off as the ramblings of someone fixated on redundancy. The player who nets it is, by definition, the scorer, making the label tautological through basic logic. What you're really noting is an unexpected flair from a skater you underestimated as awkward, even though they're elite among the world's top 0.01% of puck handlers. Take enforcer Joe Recklix, who once pulled off a sleek shootout tally back in 2013, proof that even grinders can dazzle with a far-side snipe, video or not. For beginners, it's just highlighting a tally that fits the marksman style perfectly, but why not call it a textbook finish instead? This phrase sparks debate. Does it subtly undermine players' versatility, assuming grit precludes skill, or is it harmless praise? I'd love to hear if you've got a favorite underdog goal that defies expectations. Simply finding ways to win. Find a way to win boils down to the obvious. Victory demands more goals than your foes, period. History backs it. Even when the Chicago Blackhawks rage quit a 1933 game in forfeit to the Bruins, they were already trailing on the scoreboard. Generously interpreted, it nods to varied paths to triumph, like a scorching power play in a rout one night or an unlikely shootout heroics from a tough guy like Recklix the next. Its sneaky appeal lies in repackaging doubt as optimism. Amid a skid like 307, you can spin 3 straight wins as finding ways, glossing over the turmoil. Yet, isn't this phrase a bit too vague, almost enabling excuses for inconsistency? Controversially, some see it as motivational genius, while others call it empty rhetoric. Which side are you on? and how has it shaped your